Hi everyone, welcome to the Cosplay Crunch. Each week we gather to talk all things cosplay and conventions, from personal experiences, useful tips and advice, horror stories and hot takes, and sometimes the latest news and drama. We have it all. I am your host, Savage Cosplay, and this episode we are joined by a very lovely special guest who I'm so excited to talk to about everything today. Orion Valiant, welcome to the
Hello.
podcast.
Hi, howdy everybody. How's it going? Yes, I say howdy, unironically.
Are you from Texas originally?
Yeah, I am so Texan. It's unfortunate.
Oh my god. Wait, so I also am. However, I would say that howdy is not in my vocabulary I use on a daily basis. I've been mistaken for a valley girl very frequently.
Yeah, I don't have a very strong accent, fortunately, most of the time, unless I've had a couple of drinkies. Then it comes out. It just comes out. But yeah, I'm a little yeehaw at certain aspects. Like, I'll say y'all all the time. I say howdy. Like, it's fine.
Yes. Yeah, some things you
y'all
can never
is
escape.
versatile, though.
It is. And people even from like other parts of the country, like Chicago, people said y'all a lot too. So I think it's much more widespread. Welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. I feel like you are one of the first guests that I've had, if not like the first, who has the experience and the repertoire of levels of cosplay and conventions that you're bringing.
Too much. I've done too much. I can't unsee what I have seen.
Well, we're going to get all into it. We have a lot to get through. But first, we're going to start off with how I start most episodes. I want to hear your cosplay beginning. So how did you, Orion, get into cosplay from the beginning?
Oh my gosh. So I tell everybody that I started cosplaying in like 2010, 2011, because that's when I started doing it, like making my own stuff. But actually, what happened?
What happened
was in 2004, 2005, I got into Prince of Tennis, and it was a downhill slope from there.
What is that? Is that an anime?
Prince of Tennis is an anime and a manga. I was really into the manga and also the stage plays, the stage musicals for it, which are spectacular. But through Prince of Tennis and the fandom there, and like literally, you guys, sorry to disclose, but role playing from Prince of Tennis in my college years. I know.
Wait, online in the forums?
And on LiveJournal.
Of course.
On LiveJournal. But through especially the community for the stage plays, I made some friends that lived in Chicago, and they were like, hey, and like I'd been interested in dressing up as characters since I was a little kid. I didn't know it was cosplay, right? I was just like, oh, I want to look like Matt from Digimon. I'm gonna wear this outfit. It was like that. But my friends were like, hey, we're going to this convention in Dallas. Do you want to go with us? And I was like, I have nothing to wear, but sure. And they were like, we got you. We're going to order you something from overseas. Because back then, this was 2005. I kid you not. I still have it. I still have my 2005, 2006 Hyote uniform from Prince of Tennis that was bought from overseas, like mass produced. Like, it's crazy. Yeah, I still have it. But they invited me to A-Kon 06.
Okay. Where was that?
And that was at the Adams Mark at the time is what it was called. I think it was the
Sheraton.
Yeah, the Sheraton. But it was the Adams Mark at the time. And I remember, like, I think the funniest thing about going to that con too was that, like, we thought we were gonna like drink and party the whole time, and all we did was like make stupid comments, and like it's the equivalent of what people would do now, running around making stupid TikToks, except we weren't recording anything, we were just being stupid. So but like it was this whole adventure, and like I think we fed some guy our leftover pizza at one point, and I saw like these amazing Trinity Blood cosplays. And they were apparently the ones that won Best in Show that year, according to some of my friends. So I like saw these Trinity Blood cosplays, and I was cosplaying from Prince of Tennis, and then I also cosplayed a J-pop singer, like from his art book that he had out. I cosplayed an outfit that my mom helped me make. My mom helped me make it.
Wait, so you were in deep into the
I
fandom, into the
was
Japanese
very
like
deep, like
fandom
the
and anime
stage
and manga.
boys, the
Yeah.
stage boys in particular, and I still am, unfortunately for my sanity, because
Oh
those
my
are like
god.
the good outfits.
I just like so I feel like for me, I got in very mainstream where it was like, okay, like I liked Pokemon. Oh gosh, I'm wearing a Pikachu shirt right now. I liked like different cartoons and video games that were like much more widely available in the US. But like you were like deep into the subversive Japanese culture in
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
2005.
Like that was before Prince of Tennis was like on Toonami or whatever, like forgettable at that point. But like I was reading the manga like weekly, right? And like watching the stage plays subtitled by these like crazy Fujoshi ladies that like had so much power because they would hard sub. I used to help fan sub stuff, honestly.
No.
Yes, I used to help fan sub. I did clips for the Prince of Tennis musicals, and then I did TV shows for a certain J-pop agency. I helped hard sub TV shows that people downloaded and like
Oh well, yeah.
yeah.
All before the
The before
Crunchyroll of it
times.
all, before the yes,
Well, it's
yes.
before you could access any of it. You know,
Right.
like people were like, buy the DVD and rip it and hard sub it and whatever. And like, that was kind of how I cut my teeth on getting to get because it was very hard to get it imported. So the people who lived in Japan would buy it and then they would, this is so not cosplay, but they would buy
No, I
it
love
and then they would like rip it and then they would sub it and then they would upload it. And it was just this cycle.
that's so crazy.
Yeah.
That is honestly a culture of which I kind of wish I could have experienced. But then again, being able to go online and just go to your streaming platform and find the anime you want to watch
Yeah,
is much
right.
easier.
Back when Crunchyroll was a piracy website, back in the day. So
Wait, what do you mean?
you didn't know this?
Wait,
I was like,
Crunchyroll. Wait, Crunchyroll itself?
Crunchyroll used to be an illegal upload site. Yeah, it was a fan sub site.
No,
Yeah.
are you serious?
Yes, 100%. And then they went legit. Yeah, totally.
The history lessons you're giving me. Wait, oh my god. I had
I'm
no
old.
idea. So it started with just like fans that wanted to watch like Japanese manga and they couldn't have access to it. So they were like getting these copies from Japan, like ripping them with fan dubs and then re-uploading them to Crunchyroll.
It was, yeah, some of the stuff was like, it was like on Crunchyroll. The stuff we did was like uploaded to like, oh gosh, what platforms to be used back then? I can't remember, but it was like Mega Upload or something silly like that. Like it was crazy. There was a whole like underground trading community of this stuff back then.
That's
It's kind
so
of died out,
crazy.
but like, yeah.
Wait, so going back to the costume element, so you said your friends bought you a mass-produced costume from I'll call it fairly obscure at the time show, anime, like
You
media.
gotta remember it was big in Asia though.
But who was making these? Because I didn't think mass-produced cosplays really like from like specific media like that were even started until like later.
It's because a lot of the stuff that was uniforms they would make. So like basketball uniforms, sports uniforms, stuff like that. They're a little simpler to make in that regard. Like I have another one from Prince of Tennis that I got a couple of years later that is actually like fully lined. The jacket is like fully lined with this like athletic mesh. And so it was like a step up. The original one I have is made out of just this like, if Ponte and Scuba had like a weird plasticky love child, that's what this jacket was made out of.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's crazy. I would go get it, but I should have thought to bring it over here. But like, yeah, it's really cool. I'll show it to you sometime because I
Please
still love
do.
that jacket and it still fits me, so I still have it.
Do you
I
know
actually
like
had somebody try to steal it from me once, and I was like, over my dead body, this is baby's first cosplay. You may not have this.
that's a relic at this point. And it
Yeah,
belongs-
right. It's like
Mhm.
like archaeology going into my cosplay closet. Like,
Oh my
just unearth
gosh.
it.
That it look, and if you go under here, there's cave drawings in the corner.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. That's how it feels.
My first cosplay like wasn't even a cosplay. And I've talked about it before, but like it was just pieced together closet cosplay with like hairspray. So like I don't have anything
That's
like
so
that
good though.
where
See,
I have like
I never had that phase.
Oh, you
Really.
just went right
Like
into it.
I went from like I did like closet cosplays, but I always did wigs because my friends were very much like you. They were already cosplayers who were crafting stuff at the time. So they were
Mm.
very much like guiding baby me into how to do it. And they were like, always wear a wig when you can. And here's how to do your makeup. And like I remember sitting in the hotel room at Acon, and because I had long, like really long curly hair at that point, and them pinning my hair into pin curls all over my head so I could get the wig cap on,
Oh my
because all they had
gosh.
back then was like the pantyhose wig caps. So
Right.
like I had it like, yeah, I vividly remember sitting in the hotel room while they're in their like Hunter cosplays, like helping me get into my tennis boy outfit, like pinning all my curls and stuff like that. I have pictures of this. I will show you.
That is so crazy that you had like a bunch of like I don't even know what to call them, like teachers, drag mothers, who
Yeah,
knows,
it was like
like
that. It was like drag mothers. It really was. But like much more subdued, and they're like I think like office worker type people now. So
oh my
it's kind of
gosh.
funny. I don't think they cosplay anymore, but I have not let it go because see what happened is I did that and then I got away from it for years because just like life got in the way, and didn't cosplay again really seriously. Oh man. And then 2010, 2011 came around, and so I went to IkiCon in 2010, back when it was like a New Year's convention.
Okay.
And so I vaguely like did like a closet cosplay thing for that. And then later that year ended up getting to be a volunteer for San Japan. And that's when I started like actually making stuff, was after that San Japan. Because I
Okay.
basically, that's a long story, but I basically got told if you want to wear it, make it yourself. And I was like, cool, I guess I'm learning to sew.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I want to go into
Yeah.
that, but I also want to so I want to talk about just this is like kind of a I don't know if this is a segue or departure, probably both. The segue is departing off the edge.
Oh
Um
no.
I want to talk about
Wee.
idols. I
Uh
want to talk about
oh.
idol
Okay.
cosplays, and
Okay.
I need you to give us the 101 because I feel like there's so many cosplayers that are so into the idol fantasies, whether it's like the
Yeah.
different types of idol groups. There's the mobile games, there's the rhythm games, there's the shows, there's the manga, there's the different outfits. There's like one that look like they're like spooky, like Halloween-y, and then there's another one that's like all the vibes are so different. And
Yeah.
I never got into any of the idols. The closest I ever got was like the really really effeminate sports animes, like Free, which is not the
Yeah.
same. That's the furthest I
It's
got
very
into that.
close though, because they do have image songs. So they're essentially like Seiyu idols at that point.
They do those opening
Which like
credits and stuff.
there are vocal projects that are basically Seiyu idols now that are really, really, really big, like Hypnosis Mike and stuff like that. And they're basically idols too. They're not going to be idols in name, but they're basically idols. Like we
Okay, so
accept
explain,
this.
like, do you know how this like genre started? Like, I don't
No
know if
clue.
okay, so you don't know
Well,
how
okay. The 1950s and the 1960s happened. That's what happened. So, um, do you know anything about like real life idols in Japan?
no,
Okay.
not a
Have
clue.
you okay, I'm going to say this. Have you seen Perfect Blue? The movie about like the girl who's the idol and she quits her idol group and becomes an actress, and she's got like the red dress and
Is this a Japanese movie?
yes.
No.
Okay.
I
How
literally
did you
when
answer
I
so
say
fast when you asked that?
no, when I say that this is literally like I don't know
Your
anything
crash
about the
course.
idol genre. I need a crash course. Like
You're
literally, I
good.
need the 101. Like what like
I wanted to give you a visual, but we do not have a visual, so it's okay.
we
So
don't.
basically what happened is that real life idols, as far as I know, like to my knowledge, real life idols happened first, right?
Okay.
And they were huge. Like the idol genre and the concept of the idol has been around in Japan for decades. Like we're talking 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. Like I can account them through the years because I was in real life idol fandom before I was into anime idol fandom.
Okay.
It definitely came first, right? And like I can even look at some of these idol shows now and I can point you to specific idol groups that they're basically takeoffs from. That's how deep I was into this.
Oh.
So, but basically as far as I can tell, like real life idols came first, and then they were like, oh, it's the idol fantasy about like they're untouchable and they're perfect and blah, blah, blah. And so you get like I'm sure there's earlier Idol stuff that I haven't seen. But then like Love Live happened and Idols just blew up in the anime
Mm,
sphere. Like Love Live made things crazy. And
that
then
is
around the
true.
same time as like not around the same, I don't even know what year Love Live came out because I got a little into Love Live, but then Boy Idols happened to me and I haven't now looked back. Like Boy Idols are my everything. Unfortunately for everyone who looks at my Instagram, Boy Idols are my everything. Um but like I got into, there was a boom where they had stuff come out like Utano Prince Sama and then like Ensemble Stars and Idolish 7 and all the stuff came out within the span of a handful of years. And it just like it, I don't know if that it was riding on the coattails of Love Live necessarily, because Love Live as conceptually is school idols, right? It's
Right.
like, oh, cutesy little high school girls, they're so pure and innocent and everything
Mm-hmm.
is emotional and like this, that, and the other. And so there's that. And then there's boy idols that they just decide to put through every level of hell
Mm.
imaginable in their
Oh,
plots and stories.
you know what
And
else I
also
just
there's
thought
like
of?
weird stuff like robots. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I just thought of this too. Like the bot cosplay thing. I think that the Love Live cosplays were the first cosplays that I saw that were like really high quality bot
Mhm.
cosplays. Like I
I
feel
would
like
I would agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like that was like a turning point in like the whole cosplay market. It because you had bought cosplays before then, right? And you bought some in 2005. They existed, but I feel like they were always using like kind of like cheaper materials or like they were a lot more simple. But then like when it got to Love Live, I vividly remember some of these gowns, like wedding
Mhm.
dresses with boning
Oh yeah.
inside, and I was like crazy.
I remember in 2013 I saw somebody in a Love Live cosplay and it was so like all of the material choices and trims and stuff like that they used were so nice. And so I asked this person if they made it, and they looked me dead in the face and they were like, nobody makes them. And I was like, girl, what?
That's so accurate though.
Yeah, I was like, girl, what? Like, sorry, some of us do, in fact, unfortunately make some of our idol cosplays because we have this lovely thing called self loathing. Like,
Well, it's very
hello.
much the Genshin impact of it all, where it's like
Yeah,
you
it's the
know, it's like
same.
when you're so heavily saturated with purchased cosplays, which look pretty good in the grand
Mhm.
scheme of things. It's like people, well, on one hand, some people do make them, but they're a small minority. Most people are like, well,
Yeah.
if I can just buy this
If
and
they're
it costs.
available, why not?
And they're in your
Yeah.
size, which that's the thing too, is like back,
Yeah.
I would say that now costumes are probably more size inclusive. They are more size inclusive than they were back in 2013. So like in that case, like unless you conformed to what was available for those sizes, you couldn't really buy one because they wouldn't fit you unless you knew how to
Yeah.
like deconstruct it and modify it. And at that point,
Mhm.
why not just make it, you know?
There was a lot, I remember back then, a lot of like people would buy two of the cosplay and then like take it apart and use the pieces to
I
make it
did that.
bigger.
I did
Yeah.
that for an
Yeah.
Officer Jenny
Oh my
cosplay because
gosh.
I literally it was too small and I needed to match my friends, and so I bought two and I literally just added like insert panels and
Yep.
like I made the collar bigger. I made the
Yep.
hat. Yeah, that's great.
Yep. That's how
That's
you did
interesting.
it.
Yeah,
That's how
you're
you did
right.
it.
But I digress. So yeah, Love Live
Sorry.
happened around like 2012, 2013. That's when it got really big, I think, in the US. And then that's what kind of like propelled the idol like train forward, I think, right? In the US
Yeah,
at
I feel
least.
like it got so big and it was the first idol thing to get really, really big over here. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was not necessarily the first idol series or the first idol concept, but it was the first one to kind of internationally blow up to that level that I know
Mm-hmm.
of. So, it did a lot for like you could go, they had like live viewings of the concerts where you could go to a movie theater and like watch the Love Live concert reruns and
Mm.
stuff like that. I went to one in Dallas. Like
Yeah.
literally.
Was it like
Yeah.
in an Alamo Draft House or something?
No, it was like in a regular movie theater. It was crazy.
Oh
There was
my
like
god,
nobody there. There were
mainstream.
like 10 of us, but it was still
Sure.
fun. Like,
Sure.
yeah. We
Did you
had
ever
like
light
a little
sticks?
little light sticks, yeah.
Yeah,
Of
yeah.
course.
Okay,
Yeah,
love.
it was
So
good. I made mums for it. I made my little Love Live cosplay very Texan and I made mums to
oh,
match.
Okay,
like homecoming mums. Yeah.
to clarify this, because this is so Texas or Southern
Oh
United
yeah,
States
it's sorry.
specific. So mums are like these really big like homecoming sashes that you would wear on your
It's like a
like
big
outfit.
flower
Yeah, big
or
flower with like
several flowers.
ribbons coming out of it. It's almost like
Yeah.
a boutonniere but giant, and like
Yeah.
ribbons flying everywhere.
It's
Yeah.
wild. It's wild. It's very Texan. I love making mums. So I was like, teehee, I'm gonna make mums because this is like homecoming for the idols. So I made a mum and I made a garter, which is like a little mum on the band, and me and my spouse wore them together.
Love. So is
She
there like
was like 0% into Love Live. We borrowed a wig for her. It was crazy.
is there like a general like theme or like I guess template for an idol like anime idol manga, or is it
No.
like all different, like all over the
It's so
place?
different. They're all so different. So my favorites are all like polar opposites of each other, right? So you've got like Idolish 7, which is originally it was a mobile game, still is running. Very, very, very well adapted to, but it's very character driven, right? I like to refer to it as it's almost like watching a sports anime, but it's idols because it's very character driven and character development driven and stuff like that. And then
Okay.
there's Ensemble Stars, which just feeds on torturing the characters, which is fine, I guess, and like all kinds of, pardon my language, but batshittery.
Oh no, say whatever you want. Batshittery, say it's batshittery.
Some batshittery going on in Ensemble Stars. I still love it. However, it's crazy. But and then there's like Zombieland Saga, which is like a totally different kind of bat crazy, right? But like a little more wholesome on that front, where it's not as much like it all depends on your audience, right? Because like you're gonna look at Idler 7 and Ensemble Stars that started as Josei Muke mobile games. Josei Muke is just targeted towards older women, Josei, the Josei market, right?
Oh, you're
So
teaching me so
20,
many
30
things.
year
Okay.
old women, right? So when these kids come out here and they say this game is for me because it's about teenagers, I'm like, you don't have thousands of dollars to spend on this game like the office ladies do. The office ladies are in charge. Sit down.
The office ladies.
It's
with their
all for the office
paychecks.
ladies. It's for the bored office ladies and housewives. That's what
The
it's
direct
for.
deposit comes in and goes
Yes,
right out into
it
the
goes
idols.
right back to Happy Elements. It goes back to Ensemble Stars. So yeah, like it's legit though. Like it's seriously my Ahoge is driving me crazy. Sorry. I had okay. But yeah, no, it's like the genres are so diverse. Like it just depends on what you're looking for. If you want like high school idols, there's high school idols. If you want like crazy stuff going on, there's like Oshinoko. If you want like more wholesome but still a little wacky, there's like Zombieland Saga. You know, there's like everything out there. And there's stuff that I'm not even into, which is surprising probably to people who know me. I'm not into Utano Prince Sama. I never managed to get into it. I'm barely into B Project. I'm barely into what's the other one? Sukiuta. And those are boy idols. So I'm sleeping on the job. Clearly, I'm falling down on the job.
Is there one that you think I would like? Like one of these you think because I've never seen any of these, right? And like
Okay.
I don't know.
I start everybody off with boy idols anyway, with Idol
Yeah.
7.
I would
Because
boy idols all the way.
it is so good. Like the characters in it are very strong. The writing is very strong. The adaptation is very faithful to the game. So you're getting that same delivery of the strong writing from the game, right? So it's just really good. And the characters are very lovable. And then like some jerks come along and then things happen. And, you know, it's like a whole saga, but it's very dramatic. It's very like, but it isn't like as high melodrama as say like Ensemble Stars is. Plus the Ensemble Stars anime is a terrible adaptation.
Okay.
It's
No.
kind of garbo. So just watch Idolish 7 and get back to me. Like that's what I would say.
Homework. I'll
Homework.
during
It's
Con
so
Crunch,
good, I promise.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna put that on. I'll have to watch the dub version of it though, because
There's no
I need
dub.
to.
Because they're singing, there's no dub.
They can't.
I mean, they dubbed like Zombieland Saga, but that's different. Like Idolish 7 does not have a dub. It got kind of neglected a little bit when it got brought over. It's still really good though, I promise. But you have to actually watch it.
Oh, I have to actually watch anime with my eyes.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Okay. No, I think I'll try it. Might as well, right? It broadened my horizons.
Yeah, the music
and, like,
is good too.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what usually gets me into these is the music good. If the music is good, I'm hooked. Like I'll find a way. Like I'm into like some defunct idol stuff because the music was still good. So
okay.
yeah.
Interesting. All right. Idol 101 complete. I want to talk about you, and I want to talk
Uh-oh.
about your dive into the other part of what you do with the convention community, which is emceeing.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think it's so interesting because you have told me that you're like a self-proclaimed like introvert. But
No,
like,
I'm an extreme extrovert.
okay, well then why do you say that you always get scared when you're talking on stage?
I have stage fright.
Okay, so explain this because I
I
need to
literally
understand.
have stage fright.
Because
It's called anxiety.
oh my god,
I've been a performer like most of my life because I did music and stuff like that when I was younger.
Okay.
But I have always consistently had stage fright because I'm afraid of messing up, right? Like that
Okay.
is it. Like the fear of messing something up for somebody. And I tell you what, it's so pointless because I do mess up every single time. Every time I make a mistake, it's just we're all human and we make mistakes.
But then what
and
happens?
that's okay.
Like nothing happens.
Nothing really happens, so like it's fine, I guess. But like you do take the anxiety medicine before you go on stage. Like let's be real here. Like that is what we do. We take it and then we cruise and we're fine. And because it makes me more talkative too, actually. So it helps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird side effect. I went to my doctor and I was like, "Is this normal?" And she's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Cool."
Oh my
Helps.
god. Wait, so how did you because this is like such a I think a very niche thing to get into.
It's very hard to get into.
How did you start? Like what made you get interested in actually emceeing like for a costume contest and Idol Fest and like all of this?
I was so hoping you would ask this because it's a really funny story.
Okay, I'm ready.
So I went to San Japan 3. I had met my friend Southern Hospitality Cosplay, which I'm a member. But they went by another group name back then. I had met them online and they were like, "Hey, we run this cosplay contest. We need volunteers. Do you want to come out since it's not that far for you and like, you know, it'll be fun or whatever, and you've never done it before?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, let's go." So I went and I volunteered, right? And all I did was like, what did I do? I like wrangled people. I wrangled the contestants outside of the cosplay contest
Okay.
because it was like tiny back then. It was at the Marriott. It was tiny back then.
Wait.
Right.
Pause real quick because this is a lore dump. I need more explanation on. So Cos originally at San Japan 3, they were the organizers of the San Japan costume contest.
Yes, they were the organizers for many years.
Okay.
And then they just kind of like moved on.
Right. And it was at which Marriott was it at?
I get them mixed up. The one with the big used to have the big star hanging up. So the River Center Marriott, the further out one from the HBG
in San Antonio, the River Center,
yeah,
the taller one. So
yeah, the taller one, the one that had has the big atrium.
Gotcha. So all of San Japan was in that hotel.
Yeah, it was tiny.
Oh,
it was small.
Okay.
And that was the third one. So the first and the second one was smaller than that. But we were in that hotel for a couple of years. Yeah. But like, God, I have so many stories. But so I go and I'm volunteering, and like primarily what I'm doing is like wrangling people all weekend and like just helping out. And like, I was a total idiot. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who the guests were. I didn't know them. I was like, "Oh, you should enter the cosplay contest." And they're like, "We're the judges." And I was like, "Oh, okay, right." Well. But so mostly what I did was wrangling the contestants, and then I also was doing some other stuff at the con, just like as an attendee. But what happened is that they had another MC at the time, right?
Okay.
And this guy was a guy. He was not a nice person.
Oh my gosh, an MC that wasn't a nice person? I've never heard of that before.
There are layers to how bad he was. So he spent the entire weekend negging me, if you know what that is. He was hitting on me by insulting me all weekend.
Oh, live.
He called me fat all weekend, constantly.
Lovely.
And
lovely time.
Everyone had to tell him to stop multiple times. And so he was already on thin ice by the time of the cosplay contest, right? So cosplay contest rolls around. He's already on thin ice. They're like, "All we need you to do is make sure you say the names right."
Mm-hmm.
So he's supposed to like walk the line and check all the names and how to pronounce them and everything like that. He doesn't do it because he's high and he's drunk. Yeah. So
I literally had to process that.
You had to process that. I'm sorry.
That took a moment.
We didn't know. that he'd been like
Okay.
doing the Mary Jane there out in
Continue.
the parking garage, right? Yeah. So anyway, so he shows up and he is out of sorts, right? But we don't catch it right away because he's masking it pretty well. And they're like, just go walk the line, do the thing, whatever. And I don't remember what happened during the show because I was with the contestants like out in the hallway because they were in like a scary hallway, and I was just not in there listening as much.
Mm-hmm.
But from what I understand, he clowned on stage, said some inappropriate stuff, did some things he shouldn't have done, etc., etc. And so summarily, at the end of the cosplay contest, he was fired. Obvious reasons.
On site or after?
On site. Oh, on site.
Love.
Literally. And then he left somebody that he had driven in with at the con. So I had to give them a ride home. Yeah.
The next day or the same night?
He like left like I think it was the next morning. He like Sunday morning. He just like peaced out.
Oh my God.
So they fire him and then we immediately go to Denny's because it was our tradition at the time to like go to Denny's right after the show. Small staff, it was fine, right? And it was less crowded con back then. So we go to Denny's and SoCos, G and Alex are like, oh man, what are we gonna do? We don't have an MC anymore. He was such a jerk, blah, blah, blah. We're so glad he's gone, da da da. And they're like, what are we gonna do? And I jokingly, I go, I'll do it. And the whole table gets dead quiet. Whole table gets dead quiet, and they look at me, and they go, okay. And I'm like, oh shit.
They called you on it.
They called me on it. They were like, fine, you think you could do it? You're a talker, you could do it. Sure,
put
okay.
Your money where your mouth is.
Yeah. So the next year, I went and they did not trust me to do it right. It was very funny. I barely said anything. The only part of any of the announcing I did was the names. And I did fine on that, but they did all the pre-show stuff and the post-show stuff, like all the talking, because they didn't trust me to do it right. And so after that show, so that was San Japan 4.
Right.
After that show, I sat down with him. I was like, hey, like, I think I can do this. I didn't mess up. Like, I think I can do this. Can you just like give me a chance to do the whole show? And so from then on, it was just like me doing my thing. And I just got to stay in the same position as all the staff changeovers happened. I got real lucky.
since San Japan 5, that was the first time you did the full show.
Yeah, I did I was the MC for SJ4, but I didn't get to do as much of the talking. It was mostly reading names. Yeah. So as far as like doing everything myself, yeah, SJ5, where they just turned me loose.
From 5 to 15.
Yeah.
10 years.
More than, because we had COVID.
More than, well, the convention didn't happen though during those years.
Yeah,
though.
but yeah,
I'm saying
the number of times, yes,
yes, 10 years of San Japan consecutively. Yeah. You have been the MC for that costume contest, in addition to MCing and other events around, you've done other like costume contests and like Idol Fest and things like that as well, right?
I've done mostly cosplay contests, and no, I think it's all not entirely cosplay contests. I've done some opening and closing ceremonies stuff, but yeah, like I did Anime Austin, I did IkiCon, I did what was that one called, Anime Overload, I did where're the other ones I've done? There's a list on my Instagram. There's a list.
Go find
there's a list.
No, that's so crazy. So like, even though
mostly in Austin area, but I've done stuff outside of the Austin area too.
Okay, so is it kind of crazy that like you have been like the San Japan for one, but specifically the San Japan cosplay department, cosplay program, track show has been such a big part of your life every year for like over a decade at this point.
And like my role kind of evolved over time, where I went from just a volunteer, and then a volunteer who happened to MC, to a volunteer who happened to be also like, there's a bug, sorry. Just startled me. Anyway, to somebody who was like actual staff, to then like, now what I do is I help source the guests, and I run pre-judging, and I help pre-show, and I MC. So like, I've basically become like one of the organizers for it at this point. But it's just been a steady evolution over the years of me like working my way up totally accidentally because I never intended to be here. I was
Right.
happy to just MC, but they needed people, and I'm kind of business minded, so
No, I
yeah.
mean, exactly. So like what keeps you wanting to continue?
Is there now? Want is a very strong word. It's doing a lot of work here.
what? What? It's
I
like what
two
the, yeah.
things. Two things. One, there are worse things called actually running everything. That is worse. So I will stay where I am happily. Thank you very much. Because I've experienced that and I hated it and I never want to do it again. It was not the contestants I hated, it was the workload.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but also the community. Like, I love my community so much. Like, I can't, you said it yourself, I've been through 10 San Japans as the full MC, 11 total. And I did the 0.5 one that was over COVID, so technically it's like 12. But like,
Mm-hmm.
I have seen people go from youth to like actually competing. I've seen people go from novice to masters. I've seen people come back year after year after year. They're familiar faces. There's the new faces. There's, you know, people I see in one circuit and then they come to another part of the circuit because Texas is a huge circuit, right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
massive. And it really is all about being able to deliver the best experience you can for these people because I love them so much. Like I would not necessarily take a bullet for everybody, but like for the concept of everybody, I would take a proverbial bullet.
It's like not all of you rotted people, but some of you.
Yeah, like some of you are on notice, but
Yeah.
no, but no, I love the community so much, and I don't think I would stress myself out this much and allow myself to put as much of myself into this if it wasn't for having the community there and the community being like, you know, we recognize your skill and we actually are grateful that you were here and doing the thing that some other MCs aren't doing, which is like saying names right, which is like the bar is under the ground, but
That's
still
the
like
bar.
we're clearing it, you know.
No, that's so interesting. So, okay. I want to go into more of San Japan. So,
Yeah.
uh, I guess I'm like stuttering over myself because I like want to like piece it together where you fit because I think it's really interesting because like you said, you kind of like went through this journey of volunteer to becoming the MC and then taking on a considerable amount of the cosplay program responsibility, but
Mm,
while also not necessarily running the cosplay department at the top level
yeah.
because like you said that requires like a heavy amount of liaison with like all of the others, right?
It's a
But
lot
like
of managerial stuff that I don't
mhm.
want to do, and I don't want to be like personnel manager. I don't want to be like um necessarily doing all of the negotiations. I don't like doing contracts. I don't like doing on-site ops, like the high level on-site ops where you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off and going
Mm,
back and forth between like the stage and the room and the this and the that. Like that is a little bit much for me. I like to be able to be on site and just coast.
it is interesting because like from my own experience the year that I was a guest at San Japan in 2022 you were the one that I was basically with every day
Yeah.
because you were the one that was like well one I had talked to before you were the one that was in prejudging keeping time and keeping the contestants on track like coming in coming out and like organizing all that for us obviously like the one like coordinating like the run through the night of in terms of like organizing everyone the MC like I feel like you were very much with us step by step throughout the process, but I completely recognize that like while you were the more like cosplay guest facing person, there was a whole other team of people that were making sure that
Yeah.
everything actually ran properly from like behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
And like part of that is because I also am basically like the guest. I hate using the word handler, but it's kind of the traditional,
Liaison.
like the handler or like liaison, yeah, for the guests to make sure that like they have what they need. And I've stepped back from that a little tiny bit these last couple of years just because the stress levels were at max. But um yeah, it's just a matter of doing what I'm good at, right? Like I think the thing that's very fortunate about where I'm at San Japan is that they do let me do what I'm good at, and they don't try to force me into like, here, go learn some new stuff. And I'm like, I will learn some new stuff, but not this, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
I will learn this and this and this, or I will do this, because I would much rather use my skills like talking, dealing with people. I have people skills like putting out those kind of fires, making sure people have what they need, making sure people get in touch with the people that they need to talk to, making sure that everybody stays upbeat and happy, like the basic stuff like that that a lot of people aren't actually good at or
Mm-hmm.
don't, and not, I don't even mean to say good at, but it's more like they don't have that innate ability to do that easily and quickly.
Right.
Like for me it comes naturally to do that kind of stuff, so of course it's where I'm going to be put. um and a lot of like me being guest facing too is because I do so much work with the guests beforehand, because before the con, so my boss Diana is very busy doing like, she has to do like awards, trophies, rule revisions, which I helped with the rule revisions this year a little bit, but she has big responsibilities that are to the side of what I'm doing. So like she'll work on making sure that the forms are right, or making sure that we have everything updated on the website, or making sure that the contracts look good and stuff like that. But then I'm going around being like, okay, here's like, we have 5 emails, I'm going to go answer the emails because I actually know the answer to these questions. Or um this guest is having a problem, let me put them in touch with the right guest relations person, stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that, where it's just like I have the ability to do it, so that's why I'm doing it. It's not any like strict division of responsibilities at some
Right.
points.
Right. Right. Right.
It's very much just like we work together to like offset each other's strengths and kind of complement each other.
Right. And you have a synergy at this point because you've worked together for so many years
Yeah.
that it works well and you're able to complement each other in areas that you can. And I don't know, you have a rhythm, you have a vibe. And I mean, clearly it's working because I mean, not only has San Japan grown every year, but like continues to do so well. And I think that is a testament to like the actual talent and the skill of the people that are in these positions, like yourself, that can actually make it a really well run production. Because when you have a high turnover of like staff and volunteers, and you have like chaos and disruption internally, there's no way you can continue to have an event that's successful without any problems. And like the more turnover and the more chaos, the more problems you have. So
Yeah. We've been really lucky that a lot of the advancement in our department has been through promotion. So if we lose somebody, it's because they get promoted to another area, or because they're crossing over into an area that's more in their skill set, so that the people that are still in place are able to utilize their skill sets, right? So it's all about just the right people being in the right place. And that's something I really like about San Japan, is they're very big on putting people in the right place. And if it doesn't work one year, they're going to move you and find a place that you work in. If you've got a good work ethic, you're just not in quite the right place, they're going to find you the right place.
mhm.
So it's in that regard, like it's a very good organization to work for.
Okay. What's one of the hardest things about your position as it ties to San Japan, whether that be like MC wise or cosplay, like department wise?
Oh, gosh, that's a good question,
If you have
because
so many, you want to just give
it's
them
like,
all. You can
no,
give them
it's
all.
it's more like they're all varying levels of kind of like maybe stressful in certain ways, but it's different at different times, so it's never like one thing outweighs the rest. Um because probably like the easiest thing is the guest selection, which sounds kind of ridiculous
The
to say,
easiest
but like
thing.
the easiest thing, because I start thinking about it before the show is even over, right? I start thinking about it before where the show is buried and dead. Like
Oh.
I'm thinking about it year round, who we might get, and then Diana and I kind of come together and we talk about it. We're like, okay, I like this person for this, like this person for this, like this person, then da da da. We hammer it out fairly quickly, we agree fairly quickly, and then we get to pass them up. And so that, in that regard, like that's the easiest because I have the most time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
um if our sign up form doesn't quit breaking, I'm going to die.
Wait, has it broken like multiple
Like
years in a row?
4 years in a row, we have had sign up problems. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, yeah. The year I
Yeah,
competed, it broke.
it's a
And then the year
little
I guessed it,
bonkers.
it was broken, and we
It
had
was
a
it was
lot of
broken this
people.
year too. I literally at one point had to spend like 2 or 3 hours reconciling data because the data output from the form that they used this year was just like
A mess.
nonsensical. It was just nonsensical. Yeah. So behind the scenes, I mean, like knowing how the sausage gets made kind of a thing, not always the best, but like if there's one thing that stresses me out, it's signups. And I know it stresses everybody else. So we're working on that. But please, we're trying.
We're doing our best out here.
We're drowning
so,
too.
Actually, I redact the point that says it's not chaos because there's always a little bit of chaos.
There's like just a dash, just a little pinch.
Dash.
Yeah.
So have you ever considered participating as a, like, how do I put this? Have you ever considered volunteering yourself to work in a cosplay department more formally at any other convention, in the similar vein that you do, I guess, as an MC at other conventions? Or is San Japan more than enough of your yearly commitment towards cosplay programming?
So I went through a couple of years there where I thought I should staff for more cons and volunteered for a couple of cons. And I actually ran a cons show for 2 years, more or less.
I know that.
It was Michelle was in charge of the overarching department, but I was in charge of the show.
Okay.
And that was through no fault of anyone's. It was a nightmare. And it is because I am not suited for that role. Like, I'm just not. I have no like managerial skills. I'm the ideas guy. I'm the guy you want to be the VP, right? Like the second in command. Like, you don't want me to be in charge because I get too anxious, I get too nervous, I get stressed out, and I'm just like, no, it's not good. But I did it for 2 years and then I summarily quit. And I was just like, I literally cannot do this. So I stepped away. But it's not because it's like bad, right? It's because it didn't suit me. Like, it wasn't suited to my temperament and my abilities, right? So I know a lot of people who are very good organizers who have a much more level head than I do in those kind of areas and can handle like the ever changing craziness that happens behind the scenes at every con. Like, there's people that do it better than I do. And thank goodness for that, because as much as people wanted me to keep running it, I was just like, ain't no way. Mm-hmm. But I have staffed for a couple of cons. Like, a lot of cons, what they've done in the past, which I'm trying to get away from a little bit, is instead of having me be a guest to MC, I am just an MC that is on staff. Okay. That's how they have appointed me, essentially. Like, I'm a staffer, I do all this other work all weekend, and then I just happen to MC. So that's pretty much how it's mostly been for me. I don't like that much. I'm not saying I need to be like front page guest status or anything like that either, though. I just think like it varies from show to show how that balance is struck, right? And I've reached a point in doing the amount of stuff that I do in my personal life and also wanting to compete again, that if I'm going to have MC opportunities, there needs to be some kind of like incentive to do it, whether that's like guest status / payment / promotion, or whether that is just making it a small portion of it. Like, so I don't have to show up the whole weekend or something like that, stuff like that. I'm getting older. I'm getting tired. No, I love what I do, but at some point you have to know your own value and your own worth and kind of like measure, like, is what I'm doing suitable for the amount of effort I'm putting out there and what I'm getting back,
100%. And it is talent. It's just like a different form of talent, because you think like, well, honestly, cosplayers have a hard enough time, and this is like a kind of across the board statement, a broad statement, not necessarily specific to any convention or even like all conventions, but cosplayers have hard enough time being taken seriously in general.
Yeah.
When you're comparing against voice actors or artists or whoever it may be,
Mhm.
that are guests at the convention, you have the cosplayers, which are like the bottom of the barrel
Yeah.
guests, right? Because it's like, oh, all you're doing is dressing
Unfortunately.
up, right? It's like all you're doing is dressing up, and no one knows who you are. And it's like, but they don't. It's always the people that have never cosplayed and don't understand the craftsmanship
Mhm.
element that put them
Yeah.
there. So I think that the culture perpetuates from the top of the convention's
Oh
organizational
yeah.
ladder,
I've
right?
watched it for years, right?
Right,
Like
right. So
I've
it's like,
I've been lucky enough to be instrumental in changing the minds of some of the convention runners on how they should look at cosplay guests. So, if that is the only mark that I leave on Texas cosplay, by golly, I'm proud of it because treating a couple of cosplay guests right every year, that's better than zero.
well,
You
yeah,
know.
and it's also like that. It's very that, but also like what a cosplayer brings in talent is should be comparable to like a professional host or MC. That is a talent and a skill in and of
Yeah.
itself. And not only that, I feel like every time you are serving that capacity, you are in cosplay yourself.
Yeah.
Like, albeit maybe not something that's like crazy and mobility constricting and everything, because you can't physically be in that to do your job
Yeah.
properly. But it's like it is a lot. It's taxing on your body, on your like emotionally taxing. It requires you to bring forth the decade plus of experience that you have doing this. And so it should be treated just like another person's skill, talent, whether it's voice acting, cosplaying, like all of those things. So I
Yeah.
completely agree with you.
I got really lucky last year at not like this year last year, but like 2023 last year,
Mm-hmm.
at San Japan, that they had brought in a guest panelist duo that were hosting opening and closing ceremonies and hosting panels and stuff like that. And usually what they do in their home circuit is MC cosplay contests in addition to the other stuff. And we had like the best time just talking shop about stuff like that, because they were like, we were wondering why they wouldn't let us MC your cosplay contest, like what's up with that. And they were like, we were told absolutely not. And I was like, whoo, job security.
Yes, you're like, oh, it's honey, you can't replace me.
Yeah, like, oh, my job security, cool.
That's so funny. Did they know that you were the MC when they were saying that?
They did, because I'd introduced myself as such, because I got like introduced to them as who they were, and we were started talking and stuff like that, and they were like, oh, you're why. And so like they went back. It was really sweet of them, because they actually went back after the show and like watched some clips of me emceeing, and they sent me like the nicest message on Twitter. They were like, you are amazing, and we are so glad we did not MC because you're incredible. And I was just like
oh, that's
big
so
tears.
nice.
Yeah.
I love.
But it is a skill. I mean, like, they get paid
is.
for it. Why shouldn't I? But at the same time, like, I'm not sure conventions know how to use MCs, right? Because I don't think it's a monolithic thing. I don't think you look at an MC, and when I advertise myself as an MC, I also know I've done running panels, panel moderation with other guests. I've done opening and closing ceremonies, so I can host a variety of events. I can do game shows. I can do whatever they need, right? It's not just, I'm going to come talk for 3 hours or 2 hours or whatever for your cosplay contest. It shouldn't have to be that. Like, conventions can utilize the MC for multiple things, so why not do that? But I usually find that they don't want to do that. And that's where it kind of gets to that sticking point of they're like, well, you're not doing anything. And I'm like, son, I am doing many things. You just don't know it.
Right. No,
Or
you're
you're not utilizing me even though I offered.
Well, very that. And it's also your crucial part to the programming, because we've seen, to the detriment of numerous costume contests, when they have someone that is like ill-equipped and unprofessional and not able to do their job,
Yeah.
and the impact that makes to the entirety. Because here's the thing, like, right, wrong, or indifferent, barring like specific events and specific conventions, generally the cosplay contest on Saturday evening is the main event of the con. right?
It's one
At
of the
least
big
for all
events, yeah.
ages, right? It should be for all ages. And
Yeah.
so what was that one con with the titties bouncing around? Was that WeebCon? Yeah, that was
What?
WeebCon. Yeah.
What? I did not hear that. Oh
Yeah, there was that song.
no.
It was something about, we have to go back in season 1. We
I
talked
gotta
about it.
review.
It was like and I lose my mind on this, but like it was like titties bouncing on like a screen, and it was like meant for children. Like it was all ages. It was during the day or like during like the early
What?
evening, and it was like a
What?
rapper rapping about like titties bouncing. Yeah, so
No.
like very that where it's like
No.
you have
No.
to facilitate a costume. You have to facilitate a costume contest, but also having an MC that can actually do their job properly. It makes a huge
Yeah.
difference to your main event. Like I don't
Yeah.
know.
And a lot of people, I think, like this is just a personal observation from
We're calling
having
it an
seen
observation.
as many cosplay contests. I have been in and seen as many cosplay contests as I've emceed, right? Some people think they can MC and they are not really equipped to do it, either
Mhm.
temperament wise or self-awareness wise. Like off-color jokes or things that are not funny or things that are like inside jokes to them that they don't realize are not universal and stuff like that, that is to the detriment of either the show as a whole or to the individual walking across the stage at that time. Like I've seen things, man.
Oh yes.
And I've seen things that like other people are perfectly okay with that I'm not okay with and that I would never do on stage. Like what I said, and somebody actually brought this up earlier today when I was asking a question about something, but that I have said in the past, that if you and the contestant and the audience are not all in on the joke, don't make the joke.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it. And people don't have the self-awareness to not do it. They're like, I'm funny, haha, in this moment. I'm going to say something tee-hee, haha, hee-hee about this cosplay. I'm going to call them this, that, or the other, or I'm going to say this, that, or the other off-color weird thing. And it would, as an audience member, I'm like, that's kind of creepy. You shouldn't say that. But then they're like, oh, well, I talked to them beforehand. I'm like, but the audience doesn't know
translate.
that. It doesn't translate.
Absolutely not.
And
no, I get it.
It's something that I've gotten braver about over the years, making jokes and stuff like that. But at the same time, I think I'm probably one of the tamer MCs because I just don't take risks like that. I just don't. I'm not going to risk making a contestant uncomfortable. I had a contestant one year who came up to me like years later and she's like, yeah, you made fun of me when my wig fell off. And I was like, no, I did not. There's no way. But what I went back and I reviewed it, and what I had said was like, the show must go on kind of a thing. But she took that personally as like her error being pointed out. And so like, you have to learn from stuff like that and be self-aware and try not to do stuff like that. And it's a more difficult skill than I think a lot of people want to give it credit for.
Oh, for sure. And it's also like knowing the time and place and knowing what because there's very much like, for example, if you're going to like a nighttime programming event and you're going to like say like a convention that has drag shows, like San Japan had a drag show this past year and it was wild. I lived for that show.
Oh my gosh.
It was crazy. But like when you go into a drag show, there's no pretenses that you're going into like a very like, oh, this is going to be very like, respectful and tame. And like you're going into drag show, you are, whether you like it or not, volunteering yourself up, especially if you draw attention to yourself, you're volunteering yourself up to a degree be made fun of, like not disparagingly so, but like, having a queen or a comedian at like a live like comedy show or something, you're going into that space, you're volunteering yourself for that environment, right?
There's an expectation.
There's an expectation, and there is an implied consent in a sense that you are putting yourself into that space and you know what you're getting into, or at least you should. At a cosplay contest, it is not that. Like, you should not have to...
No.
You should not have to be thinking like, oh, well, I'm about to be read for filth by Orion as the MC, and I just need to be prepared for this. Although I would live for that.
There was somebody at San Japan this year that like I knew personally, right? And they were cosplaying like a character that some people have like say the mommy thing about, right? And I was like, for 2 seconds, I contemplated it. I was like, I could make a mommy joke about this cosplay right now on this stage. And I was like, nope. We don't do that. And so I messaged them after the con. And I was like, I almost said this, but I knew you would think it was funny if I told you about it later.
Oh my god, it's like the
Like,
intrusive thoughts.
you could do that.
Yeah.
Instead of
No.
saying it, don't let the intrusive thoughts win. Don't say it. Just think it strongly and move on.
Unless you're on the Cosplay Crunch, then you can say whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, apparently. I'm just kidding.
So, okay. This is going to be a real quick, but I had to talk about it. The Cosplay Illuminati of it all.
Oh, God! You're making me talk about me being the Cosplay Illuminati. Okay.
No, okay, because I think, okay.
Oh,
so,
my God.
Okay, let's take it back a step. So you said that the Texas con circuit is pretty big compared to most states, right? I mean, Texas is a
very
big
and very different. Yeah, very different. I've talked to organizers from other states, and we are just a weird animal to them.
Yeah, because it's very like it's segmented kind of by city, like metropolitan area in a sense, I guess. But like there is certainly no behind the scenes puppet master coordinating all of the conventions in an entire state, let alone like deciding the fates of everyone and who and what. Because like, okay, at the end of the day, and this also ties into it, what role do you think a cosplay coordinator or like adjacent coordinator like you play into the judging process? Like, because
making sure people are on time and not insulting anybody and not touching anyone when they haven't asked for permission. Like, it's the basics. That's it. Like, it's so hands off. I am there to monitor you like somebody watching a kindergarten class. That's it. That is my level of involvement. I am watching you like you're in an ant farm, and that's about it. I am not conversing with you about it. I am not talking to you about it. I am not influencing this decision. Unless, like, I have to tell you, like, that somebody is a sandbagger or something.
Right.
Like, and that's different. But, like, that's a rules violation. I can talk to you about a specific, distinct rules violation.
Mm-hmm.
But that is extremely rare. And that is something that takes like so much thought and discussion beforehand before you even get to that point. Right. There's so much like pre-work that goes into that, like investigation or whatever that goes into that, you know, like it's not willy-nilly teehee, I'm gonna go interrupt the judges and say they shouldn't win because of this. Right. And there are some coordinators I've heard of that have done that, and that's kind of crazy.
Well, I was gonna say there's like, I mean, because I've seen coordinators that are like part of the actual judging process before, which seems, I know, and I can't handle that.
I can't handle that. You should not be. It should be impartial. It should be people that don't know anything other than like with San Japan, for example, we get like one Texas guest every year. So they're within the community to a degree. But otherwise, like, they should be people that are so impartial. And like anybody you hire is going to be a professional, so they better be impartial anyway. But like, we're talking like so impartial. They shouldn't be somebody who's like, this is the me show. I am now in charge of this, and I'm the judge, and I'm on stage, and I'm emceeing, and blah, blah, blah. I don't understand how anybody can do that and do their job to the fullest extent. Well, if people can do that, more power to them, but I don't think that most people can do that.
Well, because there was the one in California that was like, oh, well, I don't like her because she says something about me online, so we're disqualifying her. And I'm like, that's a little crazy.
Wacky. Yeah.
Or like the ones that are like, oh, well, I'm a coordinator, but now I'm going to go sit behind the judging panel and contribute my votes to who places and who doesn't. It just seems whack. But the thing is, I will say,
no, it's bizarro.
I've never, of all the contests I've judged in Texas, never have I ever been in a judging situation in which a coordinator has tried to volunteer themselves or their opinion into a judging decision. The only thing that they have been a part of is when I or another judge has asked for rule clarification. That is it. Rule clarification. Other than that, I have never had an experience in Texas where any coordinator or department person has ever tried to insert themselves into the judging process. It happens, but I've never experienced that.
I've heard of it happening in places. I've seen it happen. Not as a judge or as the coordinator, but I've seen it happen at other contests, and then they come on stage and they talk about the fact they just did it, and I'm like, girl, what? But it's just not. It's professionalism. At the end of the day, it's professionalism. And if you're doing this, and I get that it's a volunteer thing and 90% of us are not paid, right? Like, I get that, right? But at the end of the day, like my philosophy about, and I will talk about the Illuminati thing, I promise, but like at the end of the day, it's not about you. It's about your contestants. It
Mm-hmm.
is not about the coordinator. It's not about the judges. It's not about anybody but the contestants.
Mm-hmm.
The judges are there to facilitate. The coordinators are there to facilitate the facilitation. Like,
Right.
frankly, that's what's going on, right? Like, at the end of the day. So, if you have to insert yourself into it and make it about you, either you're having like budgetary limitations, perhaps, or like structural limitations, perhaps, where they were like, you get one guest or something like that. Like, sure, okay, maybe. But like, and if you think it doesn't happen, it does happen where the
Wait,
budget is abysmal.
Well, I know budgets can be abysmal, but have you ever seen a contest that had one judge judging it?
I've seen a couple that have like one or two, yeah.
I'm gagged. Okay, continue.
Yeah. So, but like, yeah, it's just it's professionalism at the end of the day, in my opinion. It's my opinion. It doesn't have to be anybody else's opinion. I'm not stepping on any toes here. I'm just saying, like, in my opinion, you have to remove yourself from the process in order to do your best job.
Agreed.
Period.
I agree.
Period.
So at the end of the day, there's no like Orion Emperor Palpatine sitting in the chair
No, I'm just kidding.
in the Congress in the Imperial Galactic Congress.
Hold on. I'm just gonna
Yes, sitting up in the chair that is basically controlling and conducting and facilitating and doing like 3D chess with all of the conventions.
Absolutely not. I am way too busy stressing out about my emceeing to do that, especially me, like, because 90% of what I do is emceeing. But alas, some people think that I am the Illuminati, and I think that's kind of silly. No, I definitely, I've seen things. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, also what I'll add to is that like as big as the cosplay community can seem, when you get to the levels when you get to the levels of like contest coordinators and to an extent cosplayers that consistently judge and consistently do panels and programming, it gets much smaller at that level. And at that point there is a reputation element at hand, because if I come in and I'm a big asshole to everyone at this convention in Texas, it's gonna get around. Like it is eventually. You see, like you might not be personally best friends with the Judy that's in Fort Worth that's doing whatever convention, but at some point it is more likely than not that your reputation will follow you at that level. Now, if you're just like a cosplayer who's out here and you're not like so ingrained in like the nuances of the web of like the, I don't know what to even call it, managerial level of cosplay contests and like coordinating conventions and things, your reputation might not follow you as much, but it could. It could follow you, especially if you are consistently have poor sportsmanship, or if you are like consistently breaking rules. Because I think there's always some element of like learn the lesson, forgive, and move on. But there's also the element of, you know, at some point, and just gotta cut it. You know?
Yeah.
So.
There's a lot of, I think, room for new people too to come in, you know, but the ones that stick around are the ones that display some level of professionalism, and they can grow their shows because they show a level of professionalism. They carry things through. They do what they're supposed to do. You know, they provide prizes. They give awards. They do, you know, various things that apparently don't always get done. And, you know, I think the scariest part, though, as a coordinator is when the convention doesn't support you. And that does happen. Like, I've been in a position where that's happened before, right? I've been in that position in the past. Fortunately, not right now. But, you know, when the convention is like, you have a shoestring budget, or you tell them, get me X trophies, and they don't. Or you tell them, get me X prizes, and they don't. And then you are left on the hook for it, and it's your reputation on the line. And that is a terrible place to be. So I think a lot of the best coordinators for the best shows out there are going to be advocates for their contestants and their guests, right? even if it's not, even if I can't fix it this year, right? Am I going to try to fix it next year? Am I going to try to fix it the year after? Are we going to try to build this program, or am I going to give up and just let it be stagnant, right?
Right. Very.
It
Because
will
it's
never
like,
grow. You're not going to get any prestige as a show. Nobody's going to want to show up. You're going to have different people every year. Like, to me, the testament of a good show is if I see some of the same faces every year,
mm-hmm.
because they know they can trust my organization.
Totally, I agree. And as a leader in the programming, the cosplay programming for a convention, you have to advocate for it because, like any organization, whether it's a nonprofit, a convention, a corporation, anything, if you aren't advocating for your budget and you're not using your budget, it will be taken.
Yeah.
It will be cut. So like you have to be you have to be assertive enough to know what to do and asking for those things. And obviously, like you said, like that might not be your gig. You might not want to be the one that fighting for budget allocations, right? For like a cosplay program, but it has to be done by someone or else it's not going to grow. It's not going to get better. And you're not going to get the resources that you need to actually run the show well. So
you have to have people who can talk and people who can listen, and both sides have to do both.
Right.
And like you were saying too, it is a small world. Like the pool of people who run shows is increasing as the number of shows increase or shows change hands or new ones pop up, you know, but eventually they all kind of get to know each other a little bit. Like if I don't know the person running convention A, but I know the person running convention B, and the people who run convention A and B know each other, then we are a circle, you know. Yeah, it's the web. So, you know, even if you clown one show, unfortunately, depending upon your level of clownery, there may be consequences that do reach. And it's not an Illuminati thing. It's you being a bad sport, or you being a bad judge, or you being an unprofessional individual as a guest. You know, I've wanted to do a panel on guest etiquette, which is kind of a niche topic, niche. I think. Very niche, but I think necessary because a lot of people, they're like, I want a guest, I want a guest, I want a guest. And whether they are a crafter or a model or a performer or whatever the case may be, and they want a guest, they don't know how to act. And I'm like, being a cosplay guest is not something your mama taught you when you were brought up, kind of a thing, you know? Like
it is not, and
it's not. It's something you can accidentally even mess it up, right? And so it's, you know, it's important to me that people realize that these opportunities are out there, but also you better behave. Or everyone will know. Everyone behind the scenes who matters will find out, and then you will be roasty toasty, and that's your problem, not mine. No, and I literally don't, and it happens so rarely. I will say it happens very, very rarely. I've had to blacklist people after guesting before, right? Like I've had to be like, you will never be invited back to my event in any capacity whatsoever. And if you utter my name once ever, you know, there will be legal action. I've had to do that before. Yeah. Oh my god. But yeah, it's like it does vary based on your level of clownery. But there is no cosplay Illuminati. There's no one overarching emperor of cosplay in Texas that is like, no matter what Heroes of Cosplay wanted everybody to believe, it's not monolithic. It's not like that. We're all just having fun out here. Hardly any of us, I can't say none of us, hardly any of us are paid for this. We are volunteers. We are tired. We are progressively getting older. The con running scene is getting older, and like bless the new blood that comes in, these 20-year-olds coming in running stuff. I'm like, good for you. Actually, I'm freaking old. I'm old.
I'm falling to pieces.
I am decrepit in cosplay years.
You're gonna be the one that, like, from the SpongeBob chocolate episode, we wheel onto the stage with the microphone, like, now presenting
I literally
Orion.
Okay. But for real, I have like a list of like cosplays I want to do when I'm like old and wrinkly, like because they're like badass old ladies and stuff. Yeah, I do. I have a list.
Wait, you said you started cosplaying in 2005, right?
That was the first time I cosplayed. Was like 2005, 2006. Yeah.
Is that almost 20 years?
It's a long time.
I was like, you don't, the 20-year mark, you get the edible arrangement for the cosplay AARP program. We'll make sure to get that to you.
I need my free Costco membership or whatever that I get, right?
The cosplay version don't get you much, but
Yeah, it's like here, have one scrap of war blood that I found on the side of the road outside of a defunct Michael's or something.
very bad. Okay, lastly, I want to talk about, and this is something that you mentioned to me offhandedly, so I don't know where this is going to go, but I'm so excited to go on this journey with you.
Okay.
Fanime 2013.
Fanime 2013! Okay, so Fanime 2013 is the origin of Southern Hospitality cosplay.
Okay.
So we wanted to do an out-of-state con, specifically in California, to meet with our friend named Diana, no relation to the Diana that I spoke of earlier.
It's the Diana that does the
used to do a lot of JoJo cosplays. No, different Diana. There are so many Dianas.
Oh my god,
different Diana.
Okay,
this is a different Diana. So this is a Diana who is more low key now than she used to be. She used to be a fairly high profile cosplayer. She's guested at San Japan in the past, many years ago. But we wanted to cosplay with her, and we wanted to cosplay JoJo's. So we came up with this crazy plan that we were going to go to Fanime 2013, and we were going to cosplay from Steel Ball Run before there were official colors. So we made our little JoJo cosplays, and we went out there. We were ready to go and have a good time, and it was like me, G, Alex, Ed, and Ed's significant other at the time. So there was like this whole little thing in our we had a little hotel room, and we did our thing, right? So 6-hour-long registration line. Let me talk about that. The 6-hour-long registration line. My favorite part.
6 hours.
Actually, 6 hours. So
like
we got there at like
6.
Yeah, we got there at like 5 p.m. We were like, oh, it starts at 6, so we'll be fine if we get there at 5, and we'll have to wait a little while, but it won't be a big deal. And we get there at 5, and like the line is like already like outside of the building and like part of filling up this like plaza, and we're like, okay, it'll take maybe 2 hours, something like that, whatever, it's fine. And we're standing there, and like at no point does this line move, right? Like for hours the line did not move, and we were like, what's up? And it had been a long day, right? We had been traveling in, etc., etc. We were very tired. We were starting to get cranky. We were starting to get testy with each other. And by the time everyone was on, like, my friends had brought their DS, their DSs, and by the time they were getting everybody's street pass the second time, we were starting to wonder what was up, right? We were like, why is this taking so long? Why is this line like barely moving?
Right.
So, we got hungry at one point, and we sent one of our members down the street to like a convenience store, grocery store thing. And we were like, get us food. I don't care what it is. Just give me some freaking food. Feed
calories.
me before I die, because it's like 9 p.m. and we've been in this line for 3 hours and we have barely moved like a couple of yards. Like, what is going on here, right?
You weren't in cosplay, were you?
No, thank God.
Thank God.
No,
okay.
we were in normal clothes, but we so they came back with bread and like peanut butter and jelly, I think. And so, but no plates. And I think there was a knife, but I'm not sure. But anyway, so we just made like PB&J sandwiches in line and ate an entire loaf of bread worth of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches while we were in this line. People around us were like, hey dude, can I have some of that? We're like, no, get your own damn food.
Get your own. Every man for themselves.
Go down the street now and get it yourself. F you, we're not sharing. So yeah, it was like that. And we were very angry with each other and the world at this point, right? So we finally get into the building and we're like, cool, we're in. It's got to be like the next room. So there's like a room you're being guided into down this hallway. And we get there and it's a holding room. And we're like, are you kidding me?
I know that, girl.
There were like three holding rooms before we got to the actual thing. And we got our badges like after midnight. And we got in there at like 5 or 6 p.m. It was crazy. That was not the worst part of the con, however. So we decided to do the cosplay contest, which turned out great for me at the end. But we went to the cosplay contest, and they had kind of a weird way that they were doing it, that you would go to your prejudging time, and then you could not leave after prejudging. Like, you were just captive? There. You were just like captive. I don't remember why this was, but you were just had to stay. Right. So we got judged at like 1 p.m. Something like that. Because we were like
trapped
one of the first walk-ons, because they had like several walk-ons. And between the time that we signed up, I think we were entry number like 7 or 8 or 10 or something like that. And the time that we actually walked, we became the first walk on because that many people dropped out.
Okay.
Nobody could find where prejudging was. No, the entrance to the building was not marked. Like the building that the prejudging was in, the auditorium thing that prejudging was in was not marked. We had to find our way to prejudging. Our prejudging started like 30, 45 minutes late. So we were just standing there like, and one of the judges was not there because she had like a wardrobe malfunction, basically.
Okay.
So, no harm, no foul on that front. We've all been there. But like, also it was like an hour. So we get there and we're already starting to get a little light, a little hungry, right? And we go and we're like, man, we can't leave to eat and there's no food nearby that we can like order, because this was before like DoorDash and stuff like that.
What'd you do? You were there from 1 p.m. until
we
like...
starved. We didn't eat until like 11:30 p.m.
Oh my God.
So we're in there because the show ran like an hour over, because they had an hour-long opening act that was some random band, not even playing anime music. It was some local California band just playing some like punk music or whatever for like an hour. And we're standing backstage because we didn't know until like 5 minutes before we walk on that there was a freaking green room we could have gone and sat in, because everybody else was still out in the seats. They would bring people up a row at a time from the seats. So we're standing backstage. We're tired. We're cranky. We haven't eaten except like the Pocky that the nice, what was it? The Fist of the North Star cosplayers gave us. It was crazy. But like, was it Fist of the North Star cosplayers? What were they cosplaying? I'll have to ask Alex. Anyway, but it's people like fed us Pocky. They had like giant Pocky. So like that was all we had to eat for like 11 hours. So we get, the contest starts and we're like, we're ready to go. This is a long story. I'm sorry. We're ready to go. Living. Right. And we're about to go on for our walk on, and we're like posing and we're ready for them to like start our music so we can do our little like shtick that we have. Cause they make you do like a little skit thing. It's not a full skit, but it's like 30 seconds. Right. And you have to make it a performance. So we're ready to go, and they cue it, and they cue the wrong music. And they do this like several times. So they keep playing the wrong music. It's not our track. And so we're just standing there in JoJo poses, like dying. Like our thighs are about to like burn up, right? Because we're in JoJo poses.
So you were JoJo posing in a formation on the stage, waiting for the song to start playing. And they just
so that we could do our little performance.
Track after track. Yep. Of like wrong music. And
this persisted throughout the rest of the contest. They played wrong music for most of the entries.
Oh my God.
Including some of the skits.
Oh, Liv.
The skits included, oh God, how do I even tell the story? So there was, the thing that made everybody really mad was the skits, okay? And skits are like bigger on the coast. Like they're a really big deal on the coast. You do skits, you don't do walk-ons, right? You do skits. So there was a skit that, again, they were messing up everybody's audio. So it's this Hitalia skit, and it was like peak Hitalia hours, like,
oh yeah, 2013.
A little almost offensive, like, but funny. And you were just like, I can't believe they got away with that kind of Hitalia humor, right? And we were going, and it gets to almost the punchline of the skit. The lights go off and the audio cuts out. The stage lights go off and the audio cuts out. They cut them off. And the audience like turned on this contest.
Good. Let the audience
turned
go
on
them.
The contest.
The people shall rise and they will revolt.
Yeah, like we at that point everybody was really mad. So we moved on. There were other skits. There was like the skit with the person cosplaying what's his name from Black Butler, not the first season, the second season, the blonde one, and rolling around on the stage like reciting weird emo poetry. Not sure what that was about. And then there was like this other skit, which like I don't want to call them out in case they are listening and still cosplay.
I want to know.
But their audio allegedly got messed up. Nobody could tell that their audio was messed up, but like it was apparently messed up. So at the end of all of the performances, the MC comes out and is like, we recognize that some things went wrong and blah, blah, blah. And, we want to make it right by the contestants. So we're going to let somebody else have a do-over. And the audience starts chanting Hitalia, right? The audience is like chanting Hitalia.
Yeah.
Nope. that's not who they gave a do-over to. They let somebody redo their skit, and it wasn't the Hetalia skit. It was a different skit. And the people who were in that skit were like so mad about the whole thing. They were so mad about the whole thing. And then they ended up winning an award, and they were like bitchy about it on stage too. And I was just like, I know it was bad, but like, you just won an award. Can you pretend to be happy? At least like a little bit? Yeah. But they got this do-over. The Hetalia skit did not. Everybody rioted at this point. And the show, like I said, was running like an hour behind schedule at this point. And people were coming in to try to shoo us out of the auditorium because it's like a union-run auditorium. Oh. So it's like it closes when it closes. You don't hang out. Yeah.
It wasn't like the programming has to turn over for like another event.
No, it was like a specific building. It was just for the contest that was like, or specifically being used for the contest.
Gotcha.
So there are these people like coming in trying to push us out of there while they're announcing awards. It's my first cosplay contest.
Time out. The awards were being announced, and they were like announcing awards,
and they were like trying to get people to leave, and they were like standing and like lurking by the seats and stuff like that. And it's my first cosplay contest, and I won an award. I was very excited about it. We won for our JoJo's cosplays. We won. We don't know what we won, but we won something. To this day, we're not sure what it was. It was like best in class craftsmanship novice judges award or something like that. It was a really bizarre name.
Nonsensical.
Nonsense. Just utter nonsense. But we won, and that's all that mattered. We won $20. Woo! Big money in 2013. Yeah.
Oh my God,
I think it paid for like dinner. But we get off stage.
You paid for your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah, right. This old man working for the auditorium starts pushing my friend. And my friend physically touched him. Physically touched my friend. And so we all got a little testy at that point. I had to like be like, no, none of this. No fist fights breaking out in here. Because we hadn't eaten in like 11 hours, 10 hours. We were hangry. We were not with, oh God. And so we went back.
Sounds so ratchet.
We finally went back to the hotel room. It gets better. We go back to the hotel room and we're like, we're all just pissy. And we're like, somebody go get food. They ordered some food to go pick up and bring back. It was like Chinese food or something. And they go to the restaurant to pick it up, and they're there for like 2 hours. And we're like, where's the food? Where's the food? Where's the food? Where's the food?
And it's like 1 a.m.
I'm back in the hotel room. Yeah, it's like 1 a.m. at this point. So the two members of our group who went to go get the food come back with the food finally, and we're pissed at them. We're like, what took you so long? We are starving to death. I am hangry. Feed me. And they're like, we couldn't get anybody's attention at the restaurant. And also, nobody could hear us over the Spanish karaoke going on at the Chinese restaurant. The, like, mariachi karaoke going on at the Chinese restaurant.
What the hell?
So, like, yeah, Fanime was crazy. We did have a really, really nice photo shoot. We shot in, like, 5 different locations for, like, several hours.
That's good,
with, like, a group of, like, 8 or 9 people. It was really cool.
Okay, so at least you got some really good
photos. Yeah, we got some fantastic photos out of it and had a really good time with our friends. But at what cost? Exactly. It was crazy. Fanime 2013 was like some weird ass fever dream.
That sounds demented. And honestly, okay, so I've heard that Fanime in general is like a fun convention, but I've also heard some things that are like absolutely fucking whack about it.
That's about right. Yeah,
I want to experience it for myself one day. We'll see.
It is a good con. It has a good location. The convention itself gets like good guests and stuff like that, but you know, factors.
No, literally.
Pick your battles, basically.
Would you go back? Have you gone back since or no?
Have not gone back. I did go. I went to AX in 2016. That was my other California experience. That was very hot. That's where the mildewed petticoat story came from. For those of you who know that story. Oh, you're making a face. You don't know my mildewed petticoat story, do you?
Do I dare ask? I feel like give it to me. Give it to me.
Short version.
Yeah, short version. I want to hear this. I want to hear this story.
So 2016, I cosplayed. I was a booth babe at AX. If you can imagine me being a booth babe for Toho, a Toho game that was being released. Yes, lore. And I was aiding from Toho Project, and I had to wear the same cosplay 4 days in a row.
Okay.
Because I was a booth babe, and I was the only one. Right? It was like me and like 2 other people, but they were mostly not working. It was mostly me.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so on the Monday, because it went through Monday because it was July 4th weekend. It went through the 4th of July. I had to go from the venue to the airport. And so I went and I changed in a bathroom, and I took off my many-layered bridal petticoat that was underneath my big old skirts and put it in like one of those vacuum bags and rolled the air out of it and put it in there, and it like took off, right? But it was hot. It was very, very hot.
No.
Even in the convention center, right?
Don't
so
tell me this.
I get home and I go about my life. And then 2 months later, I'm getting ready for San Japan. I'm like, I need a petticoat. My petticoat from AX was kind of jank. I'm just gonna like cut it up and
use it,
you know, make it a
repurpose
short petticoat. Just harvest the tool and make a new petticoat. And then I go, where's my petticoat? I had never unpacked it.
How long had it been? How long?
Like 2 months. It had been the sweaty petty in the vacuum bag.
Stop it. You better stop right now. You had a whole colony of foreign creatures growing.
I open it, right, and my eyes start burning and my nose starts burning.
No, they did not. No, it did not. Yeah. Stop it right now. You had a whole incubation chamber of sin.
I was creating life in that bag. Like, I was
literally giving life.
I was creating a new species.
You were establishing a whole suburb in this petticoat.
Yeah.
There was a school district.
And I whip it out, and I'm like, Can I Febreze this? Like, how do I must save this tool. I was determined, right? So what like happened? Febreze it, it does nothing. And I'm gonna take it outside, I'm gonna put it out and let it air out. And I go outside, I throw open the back door of the apartment at the time, and I look and it's pouring rain. And so I slam the door, right? And I go back in, I'm like, what works on this? Alcohol. So I get like the vodka and water spritzer that you gotta have when you're a cosplayer, and I start spraying it down, and that kind of helped like a little bit, but for the most part, it was unsalvageable. I think I held on to it for another year or two after that. But like,
what did you do
I don't
with
know
it?
why. It just sat around, and then I threw it away eventually. But it had a torn waistband. The waistband had gotten torn at AX. So I was literally just trying to harvest the tool. Yeah,
tattered,
it was really
diseased, like garment hanging up, and this is a lesson to everyone.
No, it's not a good lesson because I didn't learn it, because then I got the same thing happened with a wig at Acon last year. Yeah. That wasn't my fault. That was my wife's fault. She put the sweaty wig in the bag, and I forgot about it for like 6 months. And then I pull it out, and I'm like, hey, I want to do a photo shoot tomorrow. And I pull out the wig, and I'm like, uh-oh. It's rank. It was so smelly.
And on that note, Jesus
it was so
Christ.
Smelly. I could smell it when we were close to each other in the picture.
This is truly evil. I
washed it after that.
Hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. No, in the Orion household, it's literally only that with these.
It's only evil in my household.
The undergarments.
I've tried to do better,
but we clearly haven't succeeded.
Yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Okay, it's that executive dysfunction.
And thank you so much for being here and sharing your stories. I don't have anything else to say other than that.
I'm trouble. God. I'm sorry.
No, I appreciate you. At least maybe someone will learn a lesson to not grow bacterial colonies inside of their craft room. So
if it's sweaty, let it air out before you put it up, guys. That's all I gotta say.
Very. All right, I'm gonna go to the outro and then come do it at the end. Sound good?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you for joining another episode of the Cosplay Crunch. If you would like to submit a question to one of our fantastic guests, please email us at cosplaycrunchpod@gmail.com. Please rate us on your podcasting app of choice. It helps the show grow, I promise. You can also follow the show to get updates when it comes out. You can also go on Instagram at Cosplay Crunch Podcast for latest news and announcements, and look at Cosplay Crunch Podcast on YouTube if you want the visual format for all of this beauty. And you can also go on cosplaycrunch.com as well. Orion, where can we find you online? And do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yes. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter that I will never call X, at Orion Valiant. Or if you're really resourceful, you can find my VTuber account and follow my VTuber and my Twitch and stuff, because that's fun too. But good luck. It's not that hard to find me. I post about it all the time. Parting words. Don't burn yourselves out. Take care of yourselves. Look out for your buddies out there. And I love you.
And wash your undergarments.
And wash your wigs and wash your petticoats.
Jesus.
Immediately.
Okay. And on that note, until next time, we'll see you later. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Oh my God. Okay. The Cosplay Crunch podcast is hosted by Savage Cosplay, with post-production also by Savage Cosplay. Original theme music by Katie Fairbanks. Logo and graphic design by Owl and Coffee.